Welcome everyone to the regular scheduled meeting of the Washington Township Board of Trustees. Board of Trustee meeting today is Wednesday, April 16, 2025. If you'll please welcome our Macomb County Clerk, Anthony Forlini, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You have any updates from Mount Clemens?
Well, sure. Well, from Macomb County, yes, which we're all a part of. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do the Pledge of Allegiance today. It was a real honor, and it's an honor to be here in front of a local board, one of which I used to be a part of in Harrison Township. I was a township supervisor, and the work that you do here is truly the most difficult part of all politics. It's personal, it's neighbors and local things that really mean a lot to people. So I give you all credit for representing your neighbors and representing your community. So I just wanted to say that. As a county clerk, though, we got other responsibilities, a little bit more focused in very certain areas. And one of the things that I also am is the Register of Deeds for the county. Deeds come through our office, and there's been a real increase in deed theft, not necessarily in Macomb County, but it's happening in spades in Oakland and Wayne County. As a matter of fact, Wayne County has prosecuted over 400 individuals for deed fraud, and that's prosecuted individuals. That's not how many cases they've had. So I'll tell you that Macomb County, we don't see a huge problem, but we want to make sure we don't have it. So the treasurer was kind enough to allow us to put together a brochure look very similar to this right here, which is letting people know in the county that you can sign up for deed fraud and or deed fraud protection. And it's just a matter of being notified if something happens, if somebody messes with your deed. And it's an important thing. If you haven't signed up yet, there's a QR code in the brochure on the inside. Sign up, get yourself hooked into this. If you got an elderly parent that doesn't have email, sign up for them and watch it for them. Because things do happen, and it's best to know when it happens as opposed to years down the road when the person that committed the deed is gone, the bad deed is gone, and the notary that did the bad notary is gone. There's nowhere to look back. And I'm sure your attorney doesn't mind fighting long, drawn-out, expensive cases, but most people don't like to pay attorney fees. And get it early and get it before it becomes a big problem down the road. So just want to alert your residents to this one little aspect of what we do. Of course, we have all the birth certificates, death certificates. We do the CPLs. The clerk of the court. We do the elections on a more global basis. You've got a clerk here that is responsible for the voting on the streets, and it's probably one of the toughest jobs, particularly in presidential election years. So. But anyhow, thanks again. I just wanted to bring that up, and I know you guys are got a big board meeting ahead of you here, so not too big, I hope.
Yeah. And for the residents, you're going to get one of these flyers in your tax bill this coming July, just as a reminder. The process is free, so you don't have to worry about paying anything for it. It's just further protection for your house to make sure nothing occurs going to criminally happen.
Yeah, and it's going to notify you that something did happen. So it's important if something does happen, you come and let us know, and we'll help you at that point in time. But we don't have people's emails, so we can't notify them unless you sign up. So that's why it's important. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy Easter to you.
Okay, with that, I'll ask for roll call.
Supervisor Praviti.
Here.
Clerk Brown, present. Treasurer Nicely.
Here.
Chaplain.
Here.
Trustee Milam.
Here.
Trustee Reinhold.
Here.
Trustee Stevenson.
Here.
Okay, all present. You see before you the agenda. If there's any additions, deletions, or motions, If not, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Supported by Stevenson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Next, you'll see the consent agenda. You are being asked to approve the accounts payable of April 11, 2025, approve the minutes of the Board of Trustee meeting of April 9, 2025, accept the minutes of the Zoning Board of Appeals of February 3, 2025, accept the Robinson Capital Quarterly Report ending March 31, 2025, and accept the minutes of the Planning Commission of March 13, 2025. So I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Seconded by Clerk Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. We have no moved agenda items. Next is comments from the audience on agenda items only at this time. So if there's anything on the agenda you'd like to address the board from the audience, you have 3 minutes. Please come to the podium, state your name and address. Going once, going twice. Okay, thank you very much. Next is legal counsel. Okay, thank you. Next is unfinished business, item 9.1. Approve the request to extend the OHM contract for GIS services until bidding process is complete. I sent an update to the board. My cover letter said it was $7,000 for both, all for planning and zoning, but it's $5,000 for DPW and $2,000 for planning and zoning. Is OHM, yeah, if you'd like to come to the podium. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, sir. My name is Mike Cousins, OHM practice leader and partner at the firm. We were asked to present this short-term kind of stopgap proposal as we figure out what's going on with the next steps. The proposal is an as-needed on-call support contract. For the past 7 years, we've maintained the GIS for the township, created dozens of apps, and there's a lot of ongoing maintenance and updates and things, making sure the election map's running, the zoning map's running, et cetera. And, on average, we're going into the busy season right now. And so based on the 7K, roughly, 4 to 6-ish weeks, depending on how many calls for service we get. But we want to make sure that everything is maintained and is running smoothly for Public Works, for the clerk's office, planning, zoning, et cetera. There's a lot more that we're planning to do, hopefully, moving forward.
Any questions from anyone?
Pardon?
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I've got a few questions. This is a stopgap proposal that's in front of us, but I wanted to look at this in a little broader perspective. I know 2 meetings ago we had voted to take this out to bid. And at the time, there wasn't any discussion on it, and I wasn't real happy with that, although I did vote to take this out to bid. In the interim, I got a little better understanding of what this does for our township, and I wanted to have a little broader discussion, since I know, Michelle, you weren't able to be here for that meeting, and the services that OHM has been providing. My understanding is that you provide some services that are a bit unique to your company, and that as we take this product out to bid, if we bid this out and go with a different vendor, those services that we've been using over the past 7 years are going to change for the township. We're not going to be able to avail ourselves of the things that you've created for us. And then, are we going to be starting new on those? And if I can, I'll address that question to you. And Rich, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I would like to get your opinion on that too, because as the biggest user of this, you are going to be directly affected by this. So if I could ask you both how that's going to play out, assuming we change vendors.
Go ahead. Sure. So we've developed, I've got numbers here actually. In the 7 years, we've developed 24 total GIS applications that are being used daily, 19 of which are for DPW, including 5 or so field maps that they use to collect GPS assets like curb stop boxes and other features, new as-built, new developments going in. We're trying to get those assets into the GIS as soon as possible and not having to wait a year or 2 years for as-built to come in, for example. Planning and zoning, we've developed 3 apps. The clerk's office, we've developed the election map that I presented at a couple years ago here. We've assisted assessing with integration into Pivot Point. And then fire department, we made 1 app a long time ago. But just for an example, the election map, the precinct layer has been viewed in the last 12 months over 34,000 times. So, if that map goes down, we need to get that back up, and we made several updates for the temporary polling locations and moving things around. The zoning map, although we didn't create it, Giffords originally created it, we're still maintaining it and updating it. That's had over 56,000 hits in the last 12 months, just for reference. In terms of the other services, we are close by. We have got a very large GIS team. We're here whenever they need anything, pick up a call. He calls me, Jason calls me, Dana, anybody. We're quick to respond and be there. Developing kind of unique custom solutions depending on what their needs are. We're not using really anything standard out of the box. And you guys are a model example when I show other communities in the region of like what's possible. I oftentimes show them the Washington Township maps because we've generated some really awesome products here. And in addition to that, from GPS support services, we got them all equipped with their own data collection, high-resolution GPS units. We've trained all their staff. We're tracking sewer jetting, televising. We're tracking inspections. We're tracking all the as-built that are being put in. We're digitizing boundaries for those, so we're being able to archive rooms and rooms of big old roll files and getting them all spatially located to make it easier for the engineer or township staff or anybody working in the area. There's a lot of little things that are going on that adds up to a significant portion over time. But for example, our last 3-year contract, of the 3 years, this last year was the one that we used all of the budget. The previous 2 years, 22 to 23, we left 16,000 of the 35,000 on the table. Like, we didn't use that because we didn't get the calls. 2 years ago, it was close to $20,000 that we didn't use. So just because those numbers are there doesn't mean we have to use it. It's just there as they continue developing and getting more digital. It's improving workflows and efficiencies and really supporting the township as it's continuing to grow and build out.
Okay. And of those 20-some apps you've created, if you go away as a vendor, are we going to lose access to all of that?
No, they're all
Or is that
built.
just going to not be updated anymore and
Sure. So any other firm here can support it.
okay?
It would take not a learning curve, but it would take a decent amount of time to kind of get up to speed, and having that institutional knowledge of where we started and where we are now, it's night and day. It's leaps and bounds better than where we started. But there would be a transition period that would probably be 3 to 6 months, to be honest with you. And it's really the knowledge of how the coding and scripting and the back end of how all the pieces plug and play is what's going to take the most time. Some places may be able to pick that up, some may not. I can't speak for them.
Okay.
Just a quick question. Do you handle the county's GIS system as well?
I work with the county. I don't handle the Macomb County, no. But we're the GIS admin for like more than 3 dozen communities in the state and a lot here regionally.
So can you just name a couple close to us?
Sure. Orion Township is one. Oak Park, Saline, we support Livonia. There's many more I could keep going if you'd like me to.
No problem. I use it often, and so I just wanted to know. I use the county one often, so I just wanted to know.
Yep. No, we integrate a lot of the layers from the county into the map, so that whether it's parcels, floodplains, school district boundaries, you name it, contours, imagery, we're sourcing all of that, so we don't have to house it. Traditionally, we used to have to get exports from the county. The minute we get an export, it was outdated. And so we've established live webhooks directly into that GIS, so you're constantly streaming most up-to-date recent data.
What percentage of the township is digitized right now, and how much more do we have to go?
Are you talking utilities?
Yes.
Up until the most recent as-built, we have most of it in place, but we're going through a process of updating the spatial locations for a lot of them, because a lot of it came over from old AutoCAD drawings or from schematic plans, for example, where they're digitized. And when you're trying to find a valve and it's 6 feet away, 12 feet away, and you're trying to shut it off in the middle of winter time because there's a water main break, for example, like you need to have spatially accurate data. So we're working to spatially update all of those assets along with the attributes and the history. We've built a really robust asset management program to track all work that's being done, whether it's your jetting, your flushing, your hydrant winterization, all of the different assets, so that if we fix an issue or come to an issue, we can see, have we ever done anything here in the past? And you can look all that up right there on your phone or device, see pictures, if pictures were stored, et cetera.
I don't think you left anything out, but we try to use that every day. We have 10, 11 guys that go out every day with tablets. They pick up everything. I can't be without GIS. You do a good job. I sort of made a mistake, so I was the one that raised it to $50,000, so I wouldn't have to. We stopped March 1st because we knew we track it in our department. So we stopped and waited till the work, to April 1st was to come up. We had some jobs that we could have continued, okay? I just said, let's raise it for this time so we don't have to do this again. That's the first time we ever had that, that we got that far ahead. So, I don't know, you can blame me, to make it $50,000. Could we have got by with 35? Yeah, that's why we stopped. I don't want to go over, we never have gone over it to start with. It's a great tool. I invite anyone to come in and see it. We got a lot of things corrected now in 7 years. And I'll go along with whatever you guys do, okay? But I just want you to know that we don't have, every day, we got misdigs that come in here, the construction guys know this. We get 10, 20 misdigs a day that these guys can take the tablet out and just pinpoint stuff. We don't doing less paperwork with these GPS sticks when we do new jobs, new subdivisions. Everything's located with the stick. So no more paper. Can the other companies do it? I'm sure they have that too. Okay? I don't know how good it is, but that's why I was just marching along with it every year, I don't know what else to tell you.
And to add on that, in addition to software, is hardware support, so helping them with their tablets, their phones, GPSs, et cetera. And I know Dana from the planning and zoning had a few apps that they wanted to build as well.
Did you make that motion for the extension?
Well, is he going to, I don't know.
Any other questions to the,
Have your question?
otherwise,
Well, he answered
I'd
my
like-
questions, as far as that. I just, the only statement I would make, and again, I'm not, saying we're on the, a definitive wrong path here, taking this out to bid, but I wonder, if it behooves the township, I'm all for fiscal responsibility. But if it puts us in a position where we are going to have to rebuild what we already have, that concerns me. That if we have 7 years worth of progress in one direction, changing horses for a few dollars. I don't know what OHM is going to come back with or any other vendors. But it makes me question whether or not, taking it out to bid was the right thing to do at this time for the township in order to maintain the continuity, in order to maintain the work that we've done. Again, I'm not saying that, it was a right or wrong decision. It was a decision that was made, but I think we needed, to hear a little more, and we need to put a little further consideration into it.
I don't think anybody's going to agree that OHM is going away. We owe it to the residents to make sure that we're getting the fair value for what they are. I believe OHM is doing that. My understanding is the bids are close to being going out. We owe that to the public to at least look at it. We are not tied to any bids that come back, and the OHM continues the services that we have, and they're a little more expensive, and that's the way it's going to be because it worked out for everybody here, and it seems to work out with the DPW and the rest of the departments to have that instead of starting all over. But I think we owe it to the public just to make sure we're doing the right thing for them.
Well said, well said.
Yeah. I think we owed it to the public to have this discussion, to make sure that we did move forward after we were informed.
I think there would have to be a pretty substantial difference in the price to make it make sense. If there's a lot of stuff that has to be redone, it just could cost us a lot more in the end.
That was my concern after listening to some of the people that work with this stuff daily. It seems like there's a lot there that we stand the chance of having to double our efforts to recreate. That was my concern.
Historical data they've already accumulated can never be recreated. It'll take forever and a day.
It's more the programming that I'm concerned about, because a lot of times when you change to another supplier, they want to look at it and they don't like the way it's programmed, want to reprogram it, and then they end up racking up a bunch of hours and it's just a matter of preference as opposed to accomplish anything really good.
Yeah, just so we don't have any delays with OHM, I think we should approve the request to extend the contract until the bidding process is completed. That way, we're not holding money back at that point, and then we can get back to everybody after the bids come in at that.
Thank you, and I just want to reiterate, that's on-call, just general GIS support, so,
Yeah.
trying to put a bid on,
Yeah, we currently don't have anything.
In general,
gotta make
the
sure.
users of the service have been very happy
Oh,
with
yes.
it.
Yeah.
Supervisor Pivity, is the RFP out right now for this?
It's ready to go. We've been working on it the last week and a half.
Okay, so you're anticipating it to be posted
Within
30
the
days?
next- No, within the next few days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, we extend temporarily until this bid comes out?
We may not even use it, it's just in case.
Right.
Mike, was that a motion?
And Mr. Armamino, thank you very much for
You're welcome.
your kind words
Okay, so-
and taking responsibility where you really didn't really need to, but that was nice of you to do that. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Okay, so I have a motion by Nicely. Support. Supported by Stevenson. No questions, roll call? Sorry.
Okay. Nicely.
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Praviti.
Yes.
Brown. Yes. Chaplin.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you.
And thanks, everybody, for circling back to have that
Of
discussion. I
course.
appreciate it.
Of course.
Next is new business 10.1. I have Jason Arlo here from AEW. This is the approval, the recommendation to award the construction manager services. This will be two different motions. One is for the new fire station number 2, and one is for the public works facility bid. I know some of you are newer. Back in 2019, we went with the construction manager for Fire Station 3. It worked out really well for the township, so we followed that same process. The fire committee's been working on this. Mike Nicely and myself with Dennis Stevenson are part of that committee, and we also have some ex-fire chiefs part of the committee, along with the current fire chief as well, and Rich is part of the DPW. So we've been meeting for, I don't know, I want to say over a year.
Yeah,
It's been a long
close.
time.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll let you explain.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Jason Arlo from AEW. I'm Director of Architecture. With me, I have Brandy Churko, Project Manager on the project. So we were requested by the township to prepare a request for proposal or an RFP for construction management services for the potential DPW building and also the Washington Township Fire Station number 2. The Washington Fire Station number 2 is approximately planned to be 13,000 square foot building, and it would be similar to the recently constructed number 3. In addition to that, the DPW is approximately 52,000 square feet planned, and it is both a masonry building and a pre-engineered metal building construction. What we did to make this as comparable as we possibly can, we gave the bidders some criteria. The criteria that we gave them was not only the preliminary plans that we have developed to this point, but also a schedule of 18 months to construct each of these buildings. And we also told them the budget could be approximately $15 million for the DPW building and approximately $8 million for the fire station. So after the RFPs were put out to bid, we received 4 proposals. And what were in the proposals is we received pre-construction services costs, which would be costs prior to any construction happening. One of the benefits of having a construction manager on board early is they're involved with finishing the design. They can do constructability reviews for the project. They can do estimating along the way to make sure the budgets are maintained and report back to you at the board to make sure the project is on track. In addition to the pre-construction services, we also asked them for pricing for construction services and also a price for their overhead and profit, which is a percentage of the end of the construction costs at the end.
The construction services are, you can kind of think of those kind of like general conditions of a contract. Those type of costs are covered in that. So those were the three main price points that we requested. Once the four proposals were received, a selection committee was formed to evaluate the proposals and grade them. On that committee, there was 2 architects from AEW, 1 representative from the DPW, 2 representatives from the fire department, and 1 Washington Township resident was on the selection committee. There was also 2 board members that sat in on the interviews and the selection, but they did not vote or grade the proposals, but they oversaw the interviews and the proposal reviews. We did attach in the letter the evaluation criteria that was used in the evaluation, so I can briefly cover that. One item was scheduling, timeliness, and responsiveness, which would included the project approach and understanding, experience, and also previous projects. The second item that was looked at was value engineering, so that included problem solving and regulatory knowledge and experience. Another criteria that was graded was project team, so that would be the project manager, technical ability and understanding of the team, and also references. And last but certainly not least, and just as important as all the rest, was the fees that were submitted. So, and also in addition was quality control and assurance. So those were the criteria that we set as directed, and you know, as you can see, their fees are considered, but this wasn't necessarily just going to be awarded to the low bidder, as qualifications were very important. So with that, during the review process, it became fairly clear to the selection committee that we had three very qualified companies. One definitely stood out with their fire station ability, and another stood out with their pre-engineered metal building and DPW experience. So at that point, the committee thought the best course of action for the township would be to award one project for the fire station and award a second to a different company for the pre-engineered metal building, the DPW. So with that, what I'm here tonight to present for your consideration would be to award AUK Construction in Pontiac, Michigan, the pre-construction services in the amount of $38,610, and also the estimated construction services for $1,061,040 for the fire station. And for the DPW building would be Ron Selly in Sterling Heights for a pre-construction amount of $45,380 for pre-construction, and an estimated construction services cost of $1,220,535. I am hopefully didn't go too long, but it was a good process, I think, a long process, but I'm here to answer any questions you may have. There are representatives from Ron Selly and AUK Construction here in case there's any really pointed questions, but hopefully I can answer the best to my ability.
I don't know, sorry, Chief, would you like to say anything? Because you were part of this committee, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Sure you do.
In the back row,
Yeah.
I would be camouflaged.
Okay.
I can just echo what Jason said, and I want to thank AEW for getting us to this point,
Right.
and in a position where ethically and morally we're comfortable with the proposal forward, and I am also comfortable in standing behind that. You know, we did have some great CMs all the way through, and I think that with AEW's help and our past experience, we definitely vetted the best customers for CMs going forward. Any other questions for the fire chief? He's way out of his
No, yeah, no,
wheelhouse.
I'm saying we've been talking about this for years, I feel like, now, so it's been working at it for a while.
Well, I think it's valid because we have
Yeah.
somewhat of a new board here, right? And you're seated there looking at millions of dollars of investment in brick and mortar. And I sometimes wonder if you think about how we got here, right? And in terms of the fire department, this started back in 2016, a little bit before, with a station distribution study, a rapidly growing community with high expectations of their emergency services, and a pretty aggressive response time set by me of 4 minutes. Means that we can't just sit on our hands or stick our head in the sand and just rely on status quo with, centrally located stations. So that station distribution study identified through data analysis and science and all the standards that drive us, we're going to be a 4-station community. That's why you saw or experienced Station 3 come out of the ground at 28 and Mound. That was one identified area. Thankfully, 30 and Powell was that second one, and thankfully there was property available, and thankful to the township to aggressively grab that property. The 4th station is on 31 between Campground and Mound, and we are set going into the future with property. We've got the station design, and hopefully after today we've got more experience with working hand in hand with construction experts and architectural experts, and building stations and capital asset and brick and mortar that's going to sustain us well into the future. So, aren't you glad you called me up here?
No.
All right. Anything else for a babbling fire chief? Or?
Yeah, no. No, I was going to say, again, part of our decision, was AUK did a great job with Fire Station 3, so that obviously.
Yeah.
This time we're building a kind of a duplicate building, so it should go.
Well, I think first of all, let me say, I was lucky enough to sit at that table and watch the presentation from the construction managers, and they're all so very impressive. And I was just one vote, but, that experience and the experience that AUK has already built the same building, I think carries some weight, right? So that, along with their customer service, was really exceptional. But again, I thank AEW for getting us here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next is, and Rich for DPW.
Yeah.
I know
I
Rich
just-
is excited about,
Oh, yeah, I'm so excited.
he's been waiting for this for about 8 years.
We're going to be able to move out of a late 70s building that was built for 4 people.
Oh, my.
And put all that equipment inside, the nice equipment that you've been buying for us.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
Yeah, for the general public, our DPW equipment just sits outside, and it takes the crew, especially winter, cold mornings, just to get all the equipment going. It's really, I don't want to say the wrong word, so it's just,
It's high time.
Antiquated.
antiquated.
It's ready.
I mean, I think my garage at home is bigger than the DPW garage that we have, so.
It's going to be nice. Thank you.
Preservation of the Capitol.
Yeah,
Right.
basically
Exactly.
preserved.
You got all the right words tonight.
Must be the iced tea from Buffalo Wild.
There you go.
Again,
All right.
I'm excited for both vendors. Ron Sully is a very well-known name here in Macomb County. So, and we were very impressed by their presentation, and AUK as well with their strong background. So,
Without objection?
without objection, I think formally we have to approve each one separately.
Two motions,
Two motions,
right?
yeah.
I
Any questions, sorry? from-
Yeah, I do
They're both
have-
here if you have questions.
I do have questions. I'm trying to figure out what's so unique and special about the fire station that we are going to pay almost $370,000 more to AUK than Runcelli is bidded for.
Yeah,
I mean, they're both qualified builders, right? They both can take blueprints and build out. They're both going to hire subcontractors. They're both going to oversee the project. They're both equally qualified. Just because one built a fire station for us and the other one didn't, I don't think that's worth $370,000 more.
I think that's a good question, so thank you. I would say during the interview process, it was apparent, I don't want to speak for the whole selection committee, I was just one person, I was on it, but I think it was apparent that AUK had not just one fire station, but many fire stations that they've
Right, but is there some
built.
unique thing to build in a fire station that building other buildings? They both have built lots of buildings, so,
They both have built lots of buildings.
right.
What I got from I was also part of that, there's much more complexity going into the fire station than a DBW building. So the DBW building is just going to have, and I'm not going to.
And Rensselaer hasn't built any buildings that are more complex than a DPW building?
Their expertise is in prefab buildings like DBW. Their expertise in AUK is in fire stations.
Okay.
So that was the reason why those two were selected from that point.
But that expertise cost us an extra almost $400,000.
Yeah.
You would think someone of that expertise would charge less money because they know what they're doing and they don't have to worry about learning on the job.
Yeah, I guess I would also say, and I know it's a lot of money, it's no doubt, but in construction, that can go.
I'm just saying that you would think that knowledge and that experience would lead to them being able to do it more swiftly, more quickly, and be more efficient and cost us less money, but instead it's costing us a lot more money.
Well,
that's what doesn't make sense to me.
I will also point out too, so we told them to assume 18 months to build this. We had to give them some criteria to stay between, right? Because we wanted to give them some guardrails. They did in their proposal, AUK, for example, said that they believe they can do that in less than 18 months. They actually put in there that they believe they can do it in 16 months. So I didn't want to write.
So would that lower their fee?
It would, yes. But I didn't want to write this recommendation.
What incentive would they have to do that?
To build it quicker?
Yeah, to build it quicker and reduce their fee.
Well, I don't think, I've been doing this for years, and I do believe contractors want to build your building and get off the site as quickly as possible. I do believe that, and I've learned that over the 25 years I've been doing this. I don't think they believe staying around longer makes them more money. I think it's quite the opposite, because, you know, as your architect, we certainly are going to be watching and making sure that production is right and costs are right. So usually once it starts to go longer, you know, it gets very painful and for everyone, including the contractor. So I don't think they would do that intentionally.
If they're really busy, you're probably correct. But if we do go into a recession and they're not busy, they might not have any incentive. So just.
I
don't feel
appreciate
like-
your comments. Thank you.
I don't feel like the answer has been given to you.
It hasn't.
Because Rensselaer has built government buildings, they've built healthcare facilities, they've built the
They
Sterling
built very
Heights.
sophisticated buildings.
Sterling
I
Heights
looked them up. I
campus
checked them
for,
out.
the city of Sterling Heights was renovated by
I don't
Rensselaer.
think the fire station's
The
beyond
police
their
department, they've
capability.
never done fire from my understanding, but police
But I don't think it's
department-
beyond their capability.
Correct. So for me, I would want to see a little bit more information on why Rensselaer, for that big of a price disparity.
What is the
would-
reason it costs them so much more money to do the same job?
Right, and I mean, before tonight, and before I did the research, I didn't know either party. I
I mean,
mean,
if it was a $10,000 or $20,000 difference or $50,000
Correct.
difference, I wouldn't make an issue out of it. For almost 400 grand is a lot of money.
Understood, and I appreciate the questions. I understand that.
Maybe
again,
they can add to this, I don't know. If they're
Right,
representatives.
yeah, if you'd like to ask them questions. Like I said, wouldn't want to speak for the whole committee, as I was just one person. But during the interview process, like I said, we were, one of the criteria that we scored on was qualifications and past experience. I do believe fire stations are unique. I do believe that. We do quite a few fire stations. I believe that the chief would attest to that. They are a unique building. I believe, but I can also say during the interviews, quite frankly, we didn't see any fire stations from Rensselaer. We were showed them from AUK, so that was taken into consideration by the selection committee, which is.
so is it like a 75% swing? I mean, like.
But their scores were similar. I mean,
Right.
in fact, some reviewers scored them higher than the others. So I don't see it in the scores that there's one big significant difference from the other.
And again, I'm just giving you one opinion. This is what the scores were turned into us at AEW, which is what we tabulated and provided, so.
I was just hoping to see there's some valid reason for that $400,000 difference, and I still don't really see it. Other than the fact that they built a fire station for us before.
Including multiple others. Yes, multiple fire stations, but.
But it's a blueprint to me.
I mean, if you
It's
can tell me
engineering to me.
how specialized building a fire station is, that somebody who's built other very sophisticated buildings can't do that work, then I understand better. That I haven't heard that yet.
It is, they've built it before, and they've been a solid reputation with
So
the
it should
township,
cost
so we
less?
feel more comfortable with that.
Oh, I get that. That makes sense.
I'm saying, like-
But still, that experience should help reduce the cost, not make it more.
Yeah, but we could also go with someone, and then there's a lot of add-on costs because they don't know what they're doing
Not
as
to,
well.
not to argue the obverse just for the sake of arguing, but, we could consider too, the answer to the question is the fact that they do have more experience in working with fire station design and build-outs could be the reason that their bid is higher. Perhaps their institutional knowledge is giving them some insight that the other company doesn't have. I'll make that statement. I don't know that.
If there is, that would make sense then.
But that would be one of the things that.
I'm saying, I had a lot of people that want to bid on it, and they don't even have the capital to even start construction. I mean,
But these,
I could
these
go
are all,
down a
these
rabbit
one,
hole. of this.
all three of these are all qualified, right?
I think you got
Is it-
excellent.
We landed it.
Is it a consideration of the committee that, as you can see, ALK is being awarded the bid for the fire station, but Ron Silly is being awarded for the DPW. So is that a consideration for the committee that all these companies are equally, very well qualified to give different contractors? I'm not sure if that's even a
Well, it's just,
consideration.
I'm acting
I'm
as
not
a
sure.
trustee, I just want to make sure our money's spent well.
I know, but I
wisely.
mean, is that a consideration?
That was
to-
part of the decision. We wanted
to-
to give some work to Ron Sully because they're well-known, and we wanted to give something to, they're well-known
Yeah,
in one
I don't know
field,
how
and
they
they're well-known
considered
in one
that,
field.
because they're
so-
all qualified, right?
They're all the construction companies that submitted are good builders. I would never say anything other than that.
Yeah, I'm not.
I think it just became apparent to everybody that was on the selection committee that you had one company that stood out above for fire station construction and another that stood out for the DPW construction. So they felt it was in the best interest of the
Right, but they're
township to
two
award.
different projects, and we're getting bids on both of them. And we would like to make sure that both of them are, the budget and the money is spent wisely. So I'm not trying to disagree with you on that, but I'm still looking, these are two different projects, and each project deserves, by right, I mean, we should be looking at each one individually.
With me is Aaron from Oxo. Maybe he can.
Maybe he
talk
can
to you
help
a little
me
bit about
shed some light on why it costs him
What
so
he
much
has,
more
yeah.
money to do this project than.
And he just loves to talk.
Good evening. My name is Aaron St. Dennis. I'm a project director for ALK. I was a project manager on Station 3. Felt bad for Jason. He's defending me, and I'm sitting in the room and not. So,
Okay.
Right.
so you got to remember, the numbers that you're presented tonight are a budget. The beauty with the CM services, it's a budget. I don't charge that entire amount at the end of the
Okay.
job. We charge as you're paying for the service and the hours for our superintendent, our project manager, and our project engineer. So just like Station 3, money was given back. We didn't spend the entire budget. It's not a GC bid where we bill 100% everything out, walk away, right? To your point, we are very busy. We have 5 or 6 years on the backlog right now. We're not trying to just make a buck on one job, right? We want to be here for 20, 30 years down the road. So I don't know if that provides some clarity. We had to look at the jobs differently. Like if we were awarded just one single one, I still need a full-time superintendent on the job, just like with the DPW, right? If we are awarded both, we can combine some services and have some savings with that. But we looked at the jobs two different ways. We did provide a voluntary alternate to finish this job in 14 months. I think we could beat that. But depending on lead times and tariffs and everything else, you got to be honest with the team up front. So that's kind of where we're at with it. Does that make sense? Does that answer?
It helps.
Yeah. So we don't overcharge. We're open book to the township. We charge as time is spent. So,
Okay, so but you're estimating quite a bit larger amount than.
at 18 months, that was 18 months for the criteria we were given. I don't know the other team here, if they were combining superintendents, combining project managers, I don't know.
Okay.
So we were looking at it as two totally different jobs. I might have needed 2 superintendents out here if we got both jobs. That's the meat of our dollars. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah. And then on the clerk side, they keep track of it, so make sure where we're at.
Yeah, I want to make another point. We are 100% open book. We meet with the teams, we share with where the budget's at, what we spent. We have hours allocated for our team, but we don't overbill it.
I believe Ron Sully, you're open book also on the project, correct? So.
Yeah, CM cost plus fee approach. I guess one thing, so it's a weird spot.
Sorry, you have to go to the microphone. Sorry.
Those at home won't be able to hear you if you don't go up there.
Yeah, no problem. Gino Roncelli with Roncelli Inc. A little bit of an awkward spot because we do also as a company truly believe a fire station, it's unique-ish. Could we do it? We certainly believe we could. At the same time, I think one point that wasn't made is of the competition, AUK really is a reputable company. They do a wonderful job. If there's one person I wanted to go to, it probably would have been their company.
And I feel the same way about the DPW guys.
For the interest of the taxpayers, there's one thing being missed here too. If I'm a taxpayer, two companies, two projects, two separate risk portfolios, there's a little bit of that, do you want your eggs all in one basket? Not that anything would go wrong with either project, but if it did, certainly you'd have double the resources.
And both are open to sharing, is it with contractors, if you have a good bricklayer, I'm just using that as an example, I'm just.
You know,
Shared services.
they're a good company. We would support them absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
if I'm Mason on my job, I'm going to share with them. We might get an economy of scale, for instance, on the other job.
We have the right as the.
What I'm hearing, though, is basically you're saying, this is a great idea. Have them do the fire department, we'll do the DPW building. That's what I'm hearing from you, right?
That's what I'm hearing.
'Cause-
I'm here to serve it, we're happy to serve it.
Okay, because I was thinking you were going to come up here when you first started talking and saying, you know what? Its fire station is unique, but it's not out of our scope. We've done a police building, we've done government buildings, hospitals, so we could handle it. If you confidently would have said that, I would say, why aren't we trusting you with the fire department? So that's where I'm a little bit conflicted now.
I'm going to confidently say we could build the fire station. I can't back away from that up here, but I do respect there's many good reasons to recommend Doc over us.
Yeah.
And it's not quite all fee related. You need to take risk into account, and I certainly respect it as a good recommendation, but I'm not going to say that we would not be able to build.
I think you two are the nicest businessmen I've ever met. I don't even know what to do with this.
So, and I think we have to take into consideration too, the time and the effort that went into this process.
AEW wins in my thing, whatever you say
they-
at this point, because
They went through a lot of effort, and Audrey, you brought this up earlier. It's difficult sometimes for us to sit here as a board and absorb everything that you guys have been doing for months and years. And we dig for some of that information to close some of those loopholes that we need to. But I trust that AEW's done their homework. I trust that both of these builders up here are reputable builders who will do a fine job on whatever projects they're awarded. I understand we're spending taxpayer dollars, and I get your
This is
position.
public record, and I just want to make sure
And
that
as I
our
was-
citizens know
as I
why
was
we
doing
went with that
earlier,
one
and
over the other.
I think we're looking out in the best way we can for the best interest of the residents and their tax dollars. I was looking at that when you mentioned the $300-some thousand disparity, I think.
Almost 400.
Okay, so what are we looking at? About 3-4% of the project total is that difference? I mean,
No, I get that, but in a percent, but
I'm not saying it's not worth looking at.
choose
I'm glad you
Monticelli and
did.
give me the 400,000. It's like,
well, that buys
that's a lot of
Chief the
money.
truck he needs.
Yeah.
So that's where I was
So-
thinking, like, there we go.
But based on what I'm hearing, I think AEW might have hit the right contractors for the right job.
I'm not disagreeing on that. I'm just not excited about the differential on the pricing.
I understand.
He's going to knock it out of the park and get it done sooner.
We both are going to knock it out of the park.
Keep in mind,
I think so too.
And, I think it was an interesting comment about the two different risk portfolios.
Agreed.
I never considered that, but that's a really valid point, I
So
think.
even from a supply chain standpoint,
Right.
we look at our supply chain the same way. We
Right.
want 1, 2, 3, 4 partners in a trade. Not too many because they won't bid, but you never want too much of your work in any one portfolio basket, just in case anything could happen. And I don't say that lightly. That's how we think about our business as a whole.
everybody's got to realize that these are top numbers. as
It's exciting.
Jason, or Aaron said, they came on our Station 3. They gave us money back. So the sooner they get it done, the less it's going to cost us. But if we delay this any longer, then it's just going to increase the cost because they need to secure the cost to make sure everything is taken
Nothing's
care
getting
of.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion to recommend the award for the construction, Fire Station 2 pre-construction and construction services to ALK Construction, 65 University Drive, Pontiac, Michigan, 48342, for the proposal total of $38,610 for pre-construction services and an estimated cost of $1,061,040 for construction services based on an anticipated construction cost of $8 million.
Support?
Okay, motion by Brown, supported by Chaplin. If no questions, roll call.
Brown, yes. Chaplin,
Yes.
Previti,
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Reinhold,
Yes.
Mylum,
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. You do it, Audrey.
Okay. I make a motion to award the DPW construction and construction services to Ron Selly, 6471 Metro Parkway, Sterling Heights, 48312, for the proposal amount of $45,380 for pre-construction services and an estimated cost of $1,220,535 for construction services based on an anticipated construction cost of $15 million.
Support.
Okay, motion by Brown, supported by Stevenson. If no questions, roll call.
Brown, yes. Stevenson.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Previti.
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. So thank you both. Look forward.
Thank you.
I want to thank, all the Roncellis are here, so thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Next is 10.2, approve the recommendation to award the Par 4 water lane main extension bid to Deponio Contracting LLC. I have my Kozak here to explain.
I'm only going to recommend one contractor tonight, so I'm really easy for you guys. You have a letter in your packet, kind of summarizes everything. This is a project to extend water main kind of the rest of the way north on Mound Road. And then we are cutting through the Par 4 lane development to get up to 32 Mile Road, which will connect to another future extension. Putting in a little over a half a mile of water main, 12-inch water main. Like I said, along the west side of Mound Road, we cross underneath Mound, and then on the north side of Par 4 lane. We bid this project out at the end of March and opened up bids last week. We got 7 total bids, which has been kind of the we usually get a minimum of 6 for these water main jobs. They're pretty competitive. You'll see the bids and the tabulated numbers in your packet. And we are, as the motion indicates, recommending the project be awarded to Deponio Contracting. They were the lowest bidder and the lowest qualified bidder, and they are the company that we actually worked with to do the rest of the extension, both across 30 Mile Road for about a mile between Campground and Mound, and then another almost 2 miles up Mound Road when we did those projects back in 2020 and 2021, I want to say. Good company to work with, very helpful, finds solutions when they need to be found and gets the project done as quick as possible and keeps a very clean site. So there is a recommendation at the end. As always, we recommend a 10% contingency in case there are issues that the Water and Sewer Committee can manage, so we don't have to come back to you guys every single time something comes up. And there is a proposal for our engineering services as well, construction engineering services, with DPW to provide full-time inspection of the project as they do on all of these projects. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. You made it very easy.
Just one bidder. Just one.
Lowest bidder does great work and hard to
It's a little different than building a building, but yes,
hard to say no to
this
that
one was
one.
an easy one, hopefully.
I got a question. So one of the bidders was my in-laws. Do I have to recuse myself or no?
Well, you need to disclose that one of the bidders is a relative.
Yeah. So one of the bidders was my father-in-law. I have no financial gain in it, but I'm disclosing it. If the board prefers, I cannot vote on this subject. But they're not the bidder to get the job.
Well,
that matters.
just so we don't have any misunderstanding, you've now disclosed.
Well, I'm just letting it all
You
out.
have now disclosed it. You've now disclosed you have no financial interest in it. Having said that, if you feel somehow
Compelled?
that this somehow impacts your vote, then you should ask the board to make a motion to allow you to recuse yourself, if you believe that. If you don't, you can vote.
I'm fine, but for political ramification, I'd rather
Forget the
not vote on
politics.
this.
Look, forget the political.
Well, it is what it is.
Forget the political part. You have a legal obligation.
It is
If you
what
have,
it is.
if you have a pecuniary interest in a project, politics aside, you have a legal obligation to disclose it. You did.
Yeah.
If you think your vote's compromised as a result, ask the board to a motion to recuse yourself. If you don't, you can vote.
If it were your father-in-law's business that were the bidder at question, I think that might be appropriate, but
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why you would need to recuse yourself.
Okay,
Just because
I'm
you're bidding
not
on
voting
it.
for them, so.
So,
They're not even in the running.
They weren't.
Yes, it's not in the running.
no, they haven't been chosen, so
I know it's going to bite me somehow
I
later.
think everybody appreciates you
Well, it shouldn't.
letting us
Doesn't-
know, but
Yeah.
I don't see any reason for you to recuse.
If they're getting the,
Okay, so it's
They're not
disclosed.
getting the bid.
All right. That being said, I would like to make a motion that we award the Par 4 lane water main extension to Duponio Contracting LLC in the amount of $677,769 with a 10% contingency of $67,776.90 to be managed by the Water and Sewer Committee through the project. Also to approve the construction and engineering services for Giffords Webster on the project with a total time and material budget not to exceed $39,690.50.
support.
Yes. So I have a motion by Chaplin, supported by Stevenson, and then Reinhold. Roll call, no question.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Previti.
I'll vote yes.
Oh, you are, okay, so it was okay.
No.
Brown. Yes. Nicely.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, for those of you that live on 29 Mile Road, this has been going on, I feel like 2 years as well. We had 2 gaps on 29 Mile Road sidewalk gap. Bob Siebert did work it out with them. We got both gaps. This is one of the gaps, but now we had to get a couple quotes to put asphalt, to put the sidewalk in front of one of these spots. We're working on the other one now. So you saw the 2 bids. Rich got these bids from the 2 vendors that the township uses for asphalt. Total asphalt was cheaper at $19,875. JP Asphalt Concrete was $22,500. The sidewalk committee recommends total asphalt at $19,875 for the address at 8500 29 Mile Road. This will be part of the capital banquet. That'll be my motion.
Support.
So, motion by Previti, supported by Chaplin. Any questions? Otherwise, roll call.
Previti.
Yes.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Brown. Yes. Stevenson.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Next is 10.4. This is the annual approval of dust control agreement with Macomb County Department Roads. Maybe Rich can explain it better. Basically, the county's offering us a discount to give more dust control to our dirt roads.
Right, and I think we can still pick up the 4th one if we want to have an extra one. It seems like we never have enough dust control through the whole year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already bad now. So it's a good price.
Yeah.
You know Snell Road will be one of them?
They do them all when they do it. They do all the stone roads, you
So
know,
this
gravel.
covers every gravel road in the township.
Correct.
So it's usually worth our money. It's budgeted.
The bad thing is every time they put down stone to fix a pothole or something, it just brings up dust, you know?
Yeah.
So,
So, Rich, you said that because what they're quoting, the first application, second application, the county is picking it up. Additional applications are $31,006.80. So you think we need 2 more applications?
we usually go one extra.
How many total?
Well, they're giving us
Oh,
two.
4 altogether.
So 4 altogether. So, and do you use the county to do the work? Because they said you can do your own vendor
You
work.
go through the outside person that does it. The county still does the grading for that person. So, but there's an outside, it's an outside company that the county uses all the time.
Oh, okay.
Once they get out of the 3, the 3 times that they have to brine, then they use this company for it. Last year, we didn't use 4, believe it or not, and they refunded the whole money for the 4th one.
Okay. So we're looking at, our cost for the additional 2 would be $31,006.80 each?
Correct.
So that would be an extra $62,013.60 for the township, on top of the 2 that the county is doing.
62 total.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll move that we approve the dust control program agreement with the county for 2 applications to be covered by the county and an additional 2 applications totaling $62,013.60 to be paid for by the township.
Support.
Okay, motion by Chaplin, supported by Stevenson. If no questions, otherwise roll call.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Praviti.
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Brown. Yes. Mylum.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Okay, next, we have Kayla here from Spalding to Decker. I've been having her review and update a lot of our zoning ordinances. So tonight, she will explain our new V1 District Design Standards Ordinance amendments from the Planning Commission just recently adopted.
Thank you. So these zoning amendments would affect the Village Center zoning district, that's V1, and these are the properties immediately east and west of Van Dyke Avenue, essentially from Meyer to the roundabout at Campground Road. And the intent of these amendments is to update some of the village district design guidelines that were initially adopted in 2000. So it's been quite a while since those were adopted. We're updating them as we bring them into the zoning ordinance to hopefully also reduce contradictions between the zoning ordinance and those village design guidelines that have been living in a separate document. This also makes it easier for applicants to reference everything in one place. So the intent statement on page 1 has been updated just to reflect these things. It also takes some language from the master plan that the township adopted it's been a year now, in 2023. So all of those things are updated there and reflected to show the identity of the village center and what is intended to be achieved through this zoning district. So I'm just going to briefly go through some of the major changes and then happy to answer questions after that. A public hearing was held on this item at the April Planning Commission meeting, and no public comments were received. However, the Planning Commission, in the recommendation, asked for one revision, and that's to put a qualification on an allowed use of residential uses located above non-residential units to subject those units to the minimum floor requirements of 3.29E, which is your village multifamily uses. So that's, again, it's something that we've already been doing as staff, but putting that qualification in there that anytime a proposal comes in for apartments, for example, above a storefront, we'd be subjecting them to those same unit size requirements that we use in the zoning district. You look like you have a question already.
I do, because I was reading all of this and I was talking to John about it, and I know the Planning Commission, I read the minutes, you do a fantastic job. Applause, okay, trust me. But I was reading all of this, and I saw the highlighted item in yellow. I know that's a change, but then all these other headings have, this shall be repealed, and the following shall be substituted, in all these different subsections. And I read everything, but I don't know, and I defer to your expertise, but I don't know what it looked like before. I don't.
Right.
I guess we're supposed to defer to the Planning Commission because we're not looking at the whole master plan, but I don't know what it looked like.
I'd like to walk you through some of those changes if that's okay.
Well, you don't, it's a little confused, it was confusing to me, that's all.
Yeah.
And I read it, but.
No, I definitely understand that, and that's one of the challenges with the adopting ordinance form. We have to write it this way for the purpose of your motion. But yeah, I'll talk through those items that changed so that it's a little easier.
Just briefly, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. So on that note, on page 2, the major changes to the village district relating to uses are that we moved 2 of the uses that were listed before under special land uses into permitted uses. And that's those residential uses located above a non-residential use. So again, think of apartments above a storefront. And also outdoor cafes and seating areas. That's a use that we had some amendments on earlier this year. Because those amendments are in place and we have standards for that use, we felt it was no longer appropriate to regulate them as a special land use. We can move them over to permitted use so that it's easier for restaurants and businesses to be able to establish that outdoor seating area, which is consistent with the vision of the village center. And so then subsection 1.3, the special land uses, that list was updated only because those uses were moving from special land use to permitted land use. So nothing has changed as far as what's allowed in the village district. It's just the process for approval for those 2 uses has moved from special land use, which requires the planning commission to review in a public hearing, to permitted use, which allows it to be administratively reviewed.
Cool.
Any questions on those before I move on?
That's good.
I'm very concerned about moving to the 40 feet for the land use, being a special land use. Because if we go to that 40 feet and then we have somebody that comes in and asks for that special use, how do we tell them no? That's my concern, huge.
So that item hasn't changed. That's currently in your ordinance that you allow 3-story buildings not to exceed 40 feet as a special land use. And there are 8 criteria that the Planning Commission considers when they're reviewing those special land uses.
But I'm saying, is there a way not to have it a special land use and just
I see what you're saying. Yes, so the Planning Commission did discuss that. There was a lot of back and forth on that item. Our original recommendation was to make it a permitted use, but the Planning Commission felt they still wanted to have that discretion, especially because there were some issues that they foresaw. If properties were to be consolidated, the developers may come in and do a larger block building all at that large height. And so, you know, there was some back and forth again, and if Trustee Chaplin wants to speak to that at all, I'll allow him to as well.
Well, she's already confused from talking to me earlier, so.
I just wondered, does that put us in a legal arm's way? If we say it's a special land use, someone comes to us and says, well, you said right here it's special, I want the special privilege. That's my concern. I don't want to continue to go down the rabbit hole of having that asked for if we don't want it.
No, what it does in essence, it gives us greater control over that type of use. So by keeping it as a special land use, it's an ask for, not a get. So if anybody comes in and they want to do a big project, like you said, they buy up 6 or 7 lots, and they want to put something across there that's a monolithic building, and we would prefer something with varied heights, varied facades, something that sits better with our view of the village. You know, we now have a methodology to stop them from doing what they want, and to make that happen, they have to come to us for permission on that particular item.
Yeah, so that's the key difference, is that the Planning Commission can put the conditions on it through the special land use process to actually get the product they want. Because they were interested in having that height, especially on corners within the village district, but they just couldn't find a way that they were comfortable with to regulate it to allow that height just on corners by right.
So you can't just say, we're only going to allow these size buildings on the corners as a keystone? We are not allowed to say that?
We tried, yes. We drafted some language, and we just couldn't get the Planning Commission to a place where they were comfortable with it because of the loopholes that they foresaw.
Special land.
So this makes it more restrictive, right? The way it is now?
This piece has not changed. It's no more restrictive than what you have currently.
It's no more restrictive than it was.
Nope.
But you want it more restrictive?
I do. So in my mind's eye, every time we say special land use, we're telling somebody, hey, you can still get this if you come before the board. And I would rather just cut it at the quick and stop asking people to pay $500 to come before the board for a special land use. I would like it to be clear, black and white. Either we're going to allow it or not allow it.
It's just for the village, it's not for the whole township.
And Planning Commission for
Right,
special
I
land
know
use.
it's
not
for
a
the village.
variance.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, myself personally, I don't think anything over 40 feet or 40 feet even would look good in the village. I like it plain the way it is, sorry. I would rather too, if you could, just say, hey, on these keystone corners, we would allow this parcel of land is available for a larger building or for a 2-story, 3-story building. However, I'm just concerned that we're going to get a bunch of that in the future, and it scares me. I would like to be able to protect us from having to say no to someone and potentially putting ourselves at arm's way because we said yes to one person because we liked it on the corner and no to another person. So to me, if there was a way to actually have a law or a rule that says, we're okay with it on these corners, these have been designated, I would feel more comfortable, but I'm not the boss of anybody, but that's just what would make me more
So
comfortable.
the way it is now, they could do it, we're telling them they could do it, but we're exercising control over what it ends up looking like.
Correct.
Yeah, as a special land use.
And she wants it so that they can't do it at all.
Right.
Or, yes, for the corners, like they have an idea, like, okay, on the corners, we'd like to see some cornerstone buildings that would look nice, but we don't want to see rows of these same-sized buildings. How do you tell parcel owner A, yes, and then parcel owner B next door, no? So I was,
Well, we get into those discussions a lot, and it's, and that's where you have to be really careful with, restrictions on uses. It's like, if, I think, to go back to something that I asked a while ago to the attorney that services the PC, Christine Anderson, I had come up with a question, and her response to me, well, what government purpose does a blue wall or a brown wall serve? It's like if we restrict without purpose the height of a building, someone's going to come back and challenge that, I would think, at some point. Bob, I don't want you to have to jump in on everything, but I think, when we're talking about permitted and restricted uses, how would that play out if we move that from a special land use to allow it?
You're restricting the 40 now. I mean, you could restrict to 30.
Well, we give everybody an individual review. If we make it a blanket restriction, nobody gets to have it and they don't get a review on it.
I see.
I see.
Every zoning district that you have in your ordinance, and every zoning district in every ordinance in every municipality has two sets of uses. One permitted as a matter of right, because there's been a determination made that these particular uses will always fit, and there's nothing unique about them, and they would easily fit in the district. Then there are special land uses, which are in every zoning district, and there's been a determination by the legislative body that while they may be compatible in the district, they are unique and different from those that we have given a blank check to. And we have determined that because they carry these unique characteristics, they're going to have to come before the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission will be able to place certain conditions on them because of their uniqueness. It's in every single ordinance. So if, for instance, it would be perfectly legal, and every ordinance has it, height restrictions on certain types of buildings. You want to build an industrial building, you can't build it 900 feet high. There's going to be a cap on it.
Right.
All right? And that's a legitimate governmental interest. Where you hit the sweet spot is up to the Planning Commission and ultimately up to the Township Board since they recommend it to you. From what I'm hearing, I don't attend the Planning Commission meetings, Chris does, but what I'm hearing is the PC didn't buy into the fact that we want a rigid rule. There could be some use that, while compatible with the village district, there may be a set of circumstances under which the 40 feet, you may be able to exceed it a little bit because the project may have some other amenities that are attractive. That's the theory behind it.
What he said.
I mean, that's the theory behind it.
So is an example of the 40 feet, for instance, the building in Romeo where there's a gift shop on the bottom and there's apartments on top? I don't know what the place is called, but that seems like it's 2 stories, or is it 40?
that's 3.
That's 3. Oh, that's 3. Oh,
So 2-story is
That's
okay,
not-
right? They don't even have to do anything special.
Right. 3 stories up to 40 feet. 40 feet's the
stories.
cap.
But
That's
if-
for a
But
special.
if they want to do a
land use.
2-story building, it's
Yep.
it's not,
They meet the code. It's a
they
permitted.
they don't
use.
have to do anything special, run through any hoops to do that.
Correct.
I mean, there are times when this could be helpful. And let me caveat this by saying there's no plans for any of this, but I know at some point in the past there was a architectural drawing made of a new township hall that is 3 stories. So if we were to do something like that in the future, if we eliminate this, then we're going against our own zoning ordinances, and we couldn't build the township hall that we needed. So things like that.
Well, the township hall can be 10 stories.
But again, if you make it completely restrictive, it takes away the ability and the discretion of the township to decide whether or not it's useful for our needs.
Okay.
And I do think, these standards have been in place in the township for, has it been a couple decades? This village district. And that this provision has been in place, and, to this moment, there haven't been issues with that special land use designation.
I don't recall anybody ever bumping up against it.
Thank you,
No,
Kayla.
have you seen any change in our village here? I don't.
Well, we do need a little bit of building going on here. It would be nice to have it built out.
Okay. If there are no more questions with the uses, I'll move on to the third page, which talks about the dimensional standards of the village district zone. The only change on this page is that we changed the minimum front yard setback for local roadways from, I believe, 43 feet to 30 feet. And that's just in keeping with what exists currently. So for whatever reason, when these standards were adopted, the setback that was designated is more than what you actually have from those side streets. So we went and we measured the setback from the street to the building and noticed that it's really closer to 30 feet, and we just wanted to update this standard so that those existing buildings don't become non-conforming or have issues if they need to expand or renovate in the future.
So, Kayla, so the only change is the setback to 30 feet? On that page? The minimum front yard setback is now 30 feet? Is that what you're referring?
Yes, for local roadways. Sorry, there is one more note. The zero lot line development allowed subject to 3.28B. That was previously a special land use. However, there were strict criteria for zero lot line development. So we just specified instead that zero lot line development is allowed subject to the requirements of 3.28B. Zero lot line development just means buildings that are right up next to each other, like you would think of in a typical village or town center. So for example, those buildings in Romeo, it's not all one building, they're multiple buildings, but they're next to each other if they meet those requirements, which talk about all sorts of things like fire safety, for instance.
And what is, are you moving on to page 4 when you're talking about the zero lot line?
Nope, this is also on page 3, right under minimum side yard setback.
Got it. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're okay. All right, so page 4 has those requirements for zero lot line development. Nothing has changed here from what you already have.
And what is the 2-hour fire rated construction? What does that mean?
Chief?
I don't know what that is. Chief? I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
Just sit in the front.
That is a rated assembly by UL.
Oh.
It's a construction, part of a construction classification specific to certain types of, hang in there with me, uses that are in close proximity together. I believe we're talking village district, which is probably mercantile commercial. So if they're that close together, they have to have a rated assembly so the fire does not extend into the next building.
Oh, I see.
They protect penetrations, windows, and the facade and the actual construction has to be rated.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
to prevent that fire from spreading.
Makes sense. I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay. Are there any more questions on page 4 before I move to the next? All right. So when we initially proposed amendments to the village district, the goal of planning and zoning was to move everything from the village design guidelines into the zoning ordinance. However, as we were talking with legal counsel, we realized that it may not be beneficial to move some of the architectural requirements into the ordinance, specifically where it relates to like building design and those design preferences that don't necessarily have the substantial governmental interest. So what we've done is we've brought everything into the ordinance that we can justify under public safety, health, and welfare. Those things that are extra that we've wanted for the district and have always used as guidelines, we kept them in the village design guidelines and referenced them as Appendix B. So they'll still be incorporated into the zoning ordinance document, but they'll be incorporated as an appendix. So page 5, the top of page 5, you'll see that change. It says all buildings constructed in the village district shall be consistent with the Washington Township Village Design Guidelines. See Appendix B of this document. Again, if there were things within those guidelines that we could bring into the ordinance and justify, we've done that. And we'll talk through some of those things, but a few things like color, we couldn't see bringing into a zoning ordinance.
Caitlin, can you just explain why it's important that we move those from the design guidelines to the ordinance?
Yeah, so design guidelines, and again, it's kind of a, a gray area because you guys have been using it for so many decades. But typically, design guidelines are recommendations only. They're not enforceable as standards. And so the intent of moving them into the zoning ordinance is that they really become enforceable, and Washington Township can hold developers to those standards with less risk. And so that's one of the goals of doing that. The other, of course, is just efficiency and making sure that we're not going back and forth between multiple documents and having to check all the time for contradicting statements.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So subsection E on page 5, streetscape amenities. All of this existed already in your design guidelines. These were things we were already asking developers to provide, but we've moved them into the zoning ordinance. Where we can, we've said required, but there are instances where, a township can't require a developer to provide a courtyard or a patio all the time, so those things are kept in as encourage and recommend. So there's some softer language for those items. And then same with lighting, everything that we could bring in, we did. So things like pedestrian-oriented lighting and fixture heights not to exceed 15 feet. Those were all in the design guidelines and now are codified. However, the shape of the light, we kept that as encouraged and referenced back to the design guidelines. That may change if Washington Township in the future wants to standardize its light fixture. Like if you guys select a light fixture from a catalog that you're going to use throughout the township, in that case it may become different. Until now, we'll leave that language as is. And then I wanted to note at the bottom of page 5, subsection G there, signs. This references Township Ordinance 183. As you guys know, a couple meetings ago, you authorized the Planning Commission to take a look at that sign ordinance, and the intent is that we'll eventually, with your vote, be moving that into the zoning ordinance. At that time, we'll make a change to that language, but until that happens, we'll leave it to the original reference. Okay. On page 6, the major changes here were to drive-through facilities. So a couple things to note here. One, there was an issue with the zoning ordinance where drive-throughs within the village district were allowed as a special land use, but they weren't subject to all of the other standards that apply to drive-throughs throughout Washington Township. So we caught that and fixed it, and you can see that we reference here that drive-through facilities in the village district are subject to A2 through A5 of this section. I know that's not listed there because that's the format of the adopting ordinance, but those are standards that talk about the number of spaces for stacked vehicles. It talks about width of lanes and other issues related to traffic and circulation for safety. Another change that was made in this section was to update the operating time of drive-through facilities in the village district to normal operating hours. Previously, the business hours that were listed here started at 8 a.m. So some of the uses that residents have said are desirable, like coffee shops, for example, wouldn't have been allowed in the village district. So that's the reason for making that change. And then the last change.
Was it always 8 o'clock at night, the close of that?
Yes.
That seems kind of early, doesn't it?
It is, and it has to do with the village district being right on the edge with residential as well. So the Planning Commission traditionally hasn't seen that as quite as intense as like the local commercial or general commercial districts, which allow, I believe, up to 10, unless anyone wants to correct me. For the village district, they wanted to keep that earlier just because of the closeness, proximity to single-family housing. Okay, and then we added some new standards here that weren't from the design guidelines, specifically for walk-up and bike-up service windows. Again, because you're trying to create a walkable district here, we wanted to be able to actually provide for that. You don't want a drive-through facility that doesn't allow pedestrians to cross the lanes, it isn't mindful of that pedestrian traffic. So this allows for foot traffic and requires that pedestrian crossings be designated across those drive lanes, and again, that those drive-through facilities kind of be located in the rear or on the sides, I apologize, so that they're not creating a cut access right through the sidewalk where people would be walking. Okay. So I'm going to move on to page 6. At the bottom of page 6, these other references are just slight technical language things to reference that we got rid of the separate reference to the guidelines. So moving on to page 7, the changes here related to lighting, none of the language itself changed. The reason this is highlighted is that we took some of the village district lighting standards that were in this section previously and moved them back into the village district itself, so that all of the standards pertaining to the village center district are in one place in that zoning district and not scattered through all these different sections of ordinance. Any questions on that?
I'd like to backtrack for 1 second. And I shouldn't be envisioning, I think of village, I think of Romeo, but there's many villages besides Romeo, I know that. But for a village district to have a drive-through in the village, I don't even understand that, because if you go to Northville, you go to Romeo, all these villages, there's no drive-through in the village. I guess I'm not even, unless I don't even know how far the village district extends. I don't even know how far it extends.
I mean, the part of the problem is we have the old Rite Aid with the drive-through, so we're trying to incorporate that in for Chipotle.
Oh, that's why.
And the other one is a potential by the Tim Hortons up the road, by the roundabout. Sorry.
I understand.
Right, that was part of the
This wasn't,
justification.
it goes that far.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I didn't know how
But the
far
Rite
it
Aid should
extended. I
technically
had no
not
idea.
be
Yeah.
part of it, but
Okay,
it was kind of to cover it.
that
You could
makes
have
sense.
already built
fast
there.
food restaurants too, I mean, right, or not really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them coming here, but yeah.
You don't want to put like a Sheetz in there, where the Hampton House is. No, okay. All right, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, the other thing that we've kind of heard from the Planning Commission and also saw represented in the master plan is this desire for coffee in the village district, and so it does accommodate that need as well.
You know, Meyer keeps dangling Starbucks in front of us, so we'll see how that goes.
And just for the board again, this district right now, it's on both sides of Van Dyke Avenue, basically from Meyer all the way to the roundabout. So it's a significant stretch of Van Dyke, but not stretching far east and west. It's right on that line of the corridor. Okay, so those were the changes that were recommended by the Planning Commission. Again, nothing has changed significantly other than what I highlighted from the village design guidelines. It's just a matter of codifying them so that you guys are protected where we can. And then we'll be coming back to you as well with that updated document of the village design guidelines themselves that take away everything that's contradicting or has been put in the zoning ordinance, so that you guys just have a clear document of what lives outside in those guidelines.
None of this addresses any parking or anything like that, right?
No. Hold on. We did, yes. So you already adopted the parking standards.
Oh.
Sorry, I had a panic moment.
That's not another,
We already did that one.
We did address village district parking because previously the Planning Commission allowed a reduction in parking for uses within the village district, but they didn't have any criteria to base that decision off of. So the last ordinance amendments you adopted from us put those criteria in place, but that was not part of the district.
well, village districts are nice, but when you have to drive to get there, you have to park your car.
Yes.
And they're notorious for having no parking.
Yes.
Are we addressing any of that issue in anything?
Yep, so yes, that was addressed through that criteria. There are off-street parking requirements for these uses, which are the same as what those requirements are for uses throughout Washington Township. So there's no difference in the parking requirement for the village district versus other zoning districts. The only difference is that the Planning Commission can grant up to, and I'm blanking on the percentage, up to 25% reduction. But we put really specific criteria on when that would apply, and there has to be other parking available, whether that's municipal parking, on-street parking, or if the applicant is able to show that they really have some novel use that doesn't generate that same type of demand.
Are we looking at building any kind of a parking structure, or is it all up to the individual people that have businesses?
Not that I'm aware of currently.
No, for now, we're spread out enough that we
don't have the business to build $1 million
we
parking
wouldn't-
facility.
Well, I know we put in the
need for
memorial
it.
park, and there's no place to, you have to park across the street or in somebody else's
That's a
parking lot
different
to even
story.
go to it. I'm just, would not like to see more things like that done.
Right. Yeah, we haven't waived any parking requirements. Applicants still have to provide parking.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Anybody? No? Well, then I'd make a motion that we adopt the amendments to the V1 district ordinances and design standards.
Support.
Okay, motion by Chaplin, supported by Stevenson. If no questions, roll call.
Chaplin.
Yes.
Stevenson.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Brown. Yes. Reviti.
Yes.
Nicely.
Yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you, Cal.
Thanks.
We've been working on that for a
Thanks,
few months.
Kayla.
It was a lot. Thank
That's
you
a
so
lot of
much for everything, Kayla.
Yeah.
It was hard.
And there's a lot more.
Next is comments from the audience on non-agenda items or agenda items, anything you want to talk about for 3 minutes. Come to the podium, state your name and address.
My name is Alvin Smith. I live at 59537 Kittle Road. And I just had a very brief discussion at the previous Planning Commission about this. As I drive through as I drive through Shelby Township, I see a lot of signs that say, this piece is proposed for rezoning. I see none of that in this township. I'd like to ask the board to consider making zoning or whatever it takes, that every time a piece of property is requested to be rezoned, that we collectively put up signs that indicate that to the general public of the area.
Some more public awareness.
Exactly. I mean, I know according to, I talked to the people at Shelby Township, and she gave me this article, but according to 125.3103, that's where they talk about the notices of some 300 feet within the property, so many days in the paper, and those kind of things.
Yeah, that's what.
But I'm asking you guys to consider going above that and making the general public, and especially the people that live in that area, aware of the property to be rezoned, because not everybody reads the paper, and certainly
I know
more than...
currently we notify everyone 300 feet around the property with a letter.
Right.
I think it's like 2 weeks ahead of time, or 2 to 3 weeks. We did do the sign thing for a while. It just became a lot of work, I know.
Okay.
So it was a lot of, we can try to look at it and see if maybe put it on the developer to do
Okay.
that. It's just,
Let me give you a little backstory, because we did discuss it briefly.
you know it?
Yeah, briefly
Okay.
at the
Tell
last.
me, inform me, I don't know about it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you did. But we okay?
Well, no, I was in the middle of a sentence, but go
I'm
ahead.
sorry,
No,
but
go ahead, yeah. I know.
All right. Anyway, yeah, we did discuss it briefly, and that was the idea that Alan had brought to us, was to make more people informed. It was something that I understood that we did in the past, but because of cost and staffing,
It is.
that we don't do anymore. The PC discussed it, and we kind of like the idea of putting up signs so that more people are aware of what's happening, not just getting the 300-foot radius of mailings, but as the general public drives by. So it was something that was accepted favorably at the PC, and as Sam was I think, about to explain, the idea of putting the burden onto the builder with requirements in the application that they put notice out that there's a rezoning request, something like, so we briefly discussed it, and it's something that Alan was going to bring to the board, and it's something that we were also going to bring to the board. So, apologize for interrupting you, Sam. I just wanted to give you the background that we had from the PC.
Okay, we'll look into it.
Okay. The last thing I was going to say is I asked the Shelby Township people, how do they do theirs? They told me that, unfortunately, they have the Department of Public Works puts up the sign.
Yeah, they have 85,000 people that support it.
I'm just saying, that's what they told me.
Yeah. No, I know.
Okay. Thank you.
No, thank you. Any other, going once, going twice? Okay. Elected officials update. May 1st at 1 p.m., I'll be having our National Day of Prayer / National Firefighter Day at our Memorial Park at 1 p.m. Everyone is welcome to attend. And that is over there at 27 in Van Dyke. I haven't made the flyer yet, but May 23rd will be our Memorial Day event. again, over there at the Washington Township Memorial Park at 11 a.m. We'll have some guest speakers at both, and our clerk will be singing at both as well.
Thank you.
She's been drafted. This Friday is Good Friday. We're closed. The 24-hour box is open all weekend. Obviously, you can access our website for any other information's online. I want to wish everyone a happy Easter on my half, and I think that's all I have right now.
May I?
Do you want to say?
Okay.
Yeah.
This Friday, if you had not had a chance to participate in it, this is the third annual Romeo Area Churches Crosswalk. That's going to begin 4:30 at Harvest Fellowship at 299 East Gate Street, and then they're going to have a little service at Simpson Park at 6:30. Since it's going to be probably the hottest day of the year, it's supposed to be close to 80, and the next day is probably going to be in the 40s. So if you get a chance to come out and to go, it's a great way to celebrate the season here. And then I also want to wish everybody a happy Easter, too, and be safe with your families this weekend.
Thank you.
Mike, is it the one that walks past like the Abbey and everything? That is cool.
Oh, it is.
And so are they stopping at the Abbey this year?
I'm not sure exactly which stops they have, but they have 9 different churches this year doing this.
It was so
so nice.
inclusive,
That's
all the
nice.
different religions coming together last season. It was amazing.
It's a neat thing.
Yeah, I loved it.
Audrey, do you have anything?
Well, yes, I do. I'm thinking of it. We are putting in, every year we put flags in all the cemeteries. We're doing it on the 20th this year, and we sent a notice out to board members if they would like to help. The clerk's office does it, but we'll take any other volunteers, and we go to all the cemeteries and we put flags in for all the veterans. So if you're interested, you can contact the clerk's office. We get it done in like a half a day, depending on how many volunteers we have. It's a very rewarding experience. So that will be May 20th. Thank you.
And May 10th, our recycling date, is that, we got
And
it?
the recycling date is on Saturday, May 10th at the
It's
Township Hall.
paper and electronics this time, right?
Right, right.
Clerk Brown, is May 20th Mother's Day?
No. That's,
May 13th is,
May 11th is.
or
Am I
11th,
looking
is
at the
11th?
wrong?
I don't know, the calendar from Google says May 20th.
No,
I hope I'm wrong.
you're wrong.
You're wrong.
That seems late.
The
It's usually
damn
No, no,
May
it's a
11th.
Tuesday. Wait a minute. When is?
May 11th.
I have the wrong date.
May
No, you might
20th
be
is
right.
what?
Yours is
A Tuesday.
We're doing Tuesday.
Yeah, you're doing
right.
a Tuesday.
I was right.
Boy,
Okay.
what- look at
That's
this.
okay.
Some kind of
That's okay.
crazy. Anyways, I'll definitely help you then with those flags.
I'll take it.
Alrighty.
Yeah, we'll get some steps in.
Okay, any correspondence? None? So I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Right here.
Second.
Okay.
You got to say what
I know, yeah.
say that?
I have it written down, sorry.
Yeah.
I know it's pursuant to section 8 point. it's not
Oh, I didn't
written
write.
It's
There's the motion.
pursuant to,
Read the whole thing, Sam.
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
These guys,
No, I have the one that was written right before it. I make a motion to go into closed session to consult with township attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with specific pending litigation in the matter of Gallo Companies LLC versus Charter Township of Washington. Well, it's written in public thing.
You have to just read it the way I wrote it.
I'm reading it. Why is everyone correcting me tonight? I don't understand.
I'm sorry.
Versus Charter Township of Washington, Macomb County Circuit Court Docket 2024-0949-AA, pursuant to Section 81E of the Open Meetings Act. That's my motion. Anybody second it?
Second.
Supported by Stevenson. Roll call.
Praviti.
Yes.
Stevenson. Brown, yes. Nicely.
Yes.
Chaplin.
yes.
Mylum.
Yes.
Reinhold.
Yes.
Okay, we'll be back in a few minutes after our closed session. Thank you. Back in open session. Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. I make a motion to close the meeting.
Support.
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, the VC3 stuff, just ignore it.
8:30.
I was.